How to achieve the life you want. Most people accept mediocrity and they start making excuses in their head. And as soon as they do that, they start accepting those excuses and those excuses become their identity. In this video, I'm gonna tear that apart. I'm gonna rip apart your comfort zone and I'm gonna show you how to live the life that you've always wanted. You may be thinking right now, man, I'm stuck in a cycle. I feel like I'm stuck. I don't know how to get out. I've tried everything. I don't know what's not working. You haven't tried everything, because if you tried everything, you'd be winning. You want to be stuck where you are right now. So what we want to do is we want to actually push that through to the next level. We're going to help you break through that right now. I've watched thousands of men go from being distracted, not having clarity, actually being able to move themselves to the next level and how to get that laser-like focus and get clarity, and I want you to be next. If you think I'm blowing smoke, you have no idea how fast your life can change as soon as you quit making excuses. You step out of being a little bitch and you actually focus yourself on the strongest version of you, not the bitch version. We all have it, right? That sits down and goes, you can't do it, you can't make it. Yes, you can. You just got to stop making excuses. You got to dial in and you got to be focused. Now there's that counter that pops into your head. Well, what if this doesn't work for me? Number one, stop thinking like that. This works for anybody as long as they are fed up with their own bullshit. They are sick of it. They want to get to the next level. They're done making excuses and they're willing to put out the effort and work on themselves to do the things that they need to do in order to get to the next level. And if you're sick of where you are, good. That's exactly what this blueprint will do, is it'll help you tear that old way apart. But you've got to be willing to get into a new consciousness. The old consciousness that you held and the old ways and the old beliefs, that they don't work. So what we're going to do is we're going to imprint on you a new belief system. In the next few minutes, I'm going to be sharing with you my blueprint on how to outsmart failure and consistently get yourself into a position where you feel like, man, I'm really leveling up. Now, you'll see individuals that start talking about, I'm sick of my job, I'm sick of my relationship, I'm sick of all of this. That's great. That's fantastic. How do we use that to get you to the next level? Well, we're going to make it something that we can weaponize against your weakness. And that's going to be the fuel that you need to go from where you are to where you want to go in a very short amount of time. Now that fuel, if you're fed up and you're ready to rock and roll, buckle up, settle in, grab a piece of paper and a pen. Right now is the time to turn your life around. Step number one, you got to reprogram your mind. Part of your mind will start to create excuses like, I've always been this way. This is who I am. What if my mind isn't strong enough to get it done? Those are weak, limiting, victim belief systems that have held you where you are this entire time. That's why you're not where you want to go. So the first thing you got to do is you got to rewrite your story. You're a product of your own story. When people look at you, they start to evaluate, who is this person? And the only way that you can actually reprogram yourself is to make a very conscious, deliberate decision to behave a very specific way every single day, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and financially. Now, the way that you're going to do that is I want you to start embarking on a mission that you say, this mind of mine is actually the vehicle in which all of my emotions and the drive of my voice and the behaviors that I do is pushing forward with. So the first thing you got to do is you've got to weaponize this. It has to be mentally tough enough to endure any kind of adversity. And guys, this is hard for all of us, especially if you've lost a job, you're dealing with financial stress, you recently went through a breakup, whatever that is, because you start realizing real quick, like, I might be physically strong, but I'm not, my heart mind isn't strong. You're sitting there ready to fucking throw yourself off a bridge over a woman. Really? Dude, like, I get it. Every man has been there, but you have to be in that position where you're actually like, I am not going to allow the mission God gave me in life to be distracted by a messenger that was sent to deceive me and disrupt my behavior and destroy my will and destroy my power. Fuck that. Your job is to weaponize this thing. And let me tell you something, the pain you're going through right now, whatever you're struggling with, it is your gift, because it's in that fire that all of the impurities are torn away from you, drained outside of you, and you get to level up as the man God called you to be and chose you to be. Everything you want and need in life is on the other side of this pain that you're dealing with right now. And it starts with you rebuilding your mind. Number two, embrace constructive failures. Now, you've got to take all of that information that happens in life, the failure of a job, the failure of a relationship, the failure of whatever it is, however you lost a competition, and you use that as data. Now, the hard part is the ego. We go, well, I don't like failing. It crushes me. I hate it. I hate the way it makes me feel. Well, I guess you need to be bigger than your fucking feelings. You got to be stronger. And the only way that's going to work is by you learning how to have those things pressure tested in real time. And dude, it sucks. It hurts, especially if you're dealing with something that you feel is a true loss. And yes, that trauma may exist, but the gift of that trauma is that it's data and you can use it to help refine your weaknesses, to refine your strengths, to refine your methodologies of where you are and where you want to go in life. And if you do it correctly, it becomes a roadmap to success. Number three, develop a strategy for pre-mortem. Now, If you don't know where you're going, if you don't have a flight plan, you're never gonna get there. If you don't build out what's happening with the winds and what could go wrong and have contingencies available, what's gonna happen is that you're not gonna be able to succeed when you set out on your journey. Now, you may be thinking in your head, man, isn't that just me being negative? No, that's you being a man and being prepared and being ready. Negative is sitting there bitching about it the whole time while you're going through it, and you don't have to do that. You know what the threats are, you know what the challenges are, now move in spite of them. Why do you know that? Because you plan. Now, there comes a point where you just gotta get out and do it, right? But you wanna build the plan so that you have a leverage so that you can go, man, I planned for this, I'm ready. But once you have done that, it's important for you to take action. But I want it to be very made clear here. When you actually go to execute, it's time to roll, right? Like you gotta go, but you do wanna build that strategy out. It's not being negative, it's being ready. Number 4, I want you to commit to a concentrated daily execution. Now, the only way that works is if you're actually willing to do all this stuff. You could plan until the cows come home. You can say, I don't have enough information. I know people in college that they have like 5 degrees, 5 PhDs, and the more they learn, the more they realize they don't know. At some point, you gotta get out and execute it. Now, you may say, yeah, but I don't have enough time to go execute it. Guys, everybody gets 24 hours in a day. The question is, what are you doing with yours? Make it a priority. If I sat down with you, I'll use something simple with you. If you had to pee and you're like, I'm really busy, I don't have time, you're gonna make time or you're gonna wet yourself. This is pretty much no different, except it's way more important because it is the future of your life, the future of your success, the future of your legacy. Your children and everyone that is not even maybe born yet is depending on you to make time to execute. And it's important that you execute because without execution, you can't get failure. And that failure gives you data. That execution gives you data of whether failure or success, of what's working and what's not working. So you gotta get out and you've gotta do it. Number 5, adapt and scale. Now, when you get out there and you start executing, you measure, monitor, modify, things are gonna pop up that you didn't expect. And it's gonna feel like all chaos is coming at you. In your mind, you're going, yeah, but what if it gets too chaotic? Well, I'm always gonna jump back to my old shirt idea, quit being a little bitch. And I'm gonna tell you that what you gotta do is you gotta force through it anyway. There's an old Chinese symbol called weiji, and it means an opportunity is chaos, and in chaos is opportunity. So what your job is to do is when it's chaotic and you don't feel like you can get through it, your job is to be able to sift through the mess and see what the opportunity is and see what the path is. That's what separates the men from the weak. That's what separates the men of action from the men of complaining and excuses, is that you train your eye, you train your spirit, you train your mind to see the opportunity in every single situation instead of how it's breaking. And I know when stuff's going on in your life, that can be hard. It can feel tough. You can feel like, yeah, but that's easy for you to think. Like, guys, stop. You got to get out of that mindset. The truth is that your power is in your resilience. Your power is in your execution. Your power is in the fact that even if you get knocked down, you keep getting back up. That every time your heart gets broken, you go back out and you try again. Or you do what I did in my situation. I was like, you know what? My relationship that means the most to me right now is first and foremost with God. That's my relationship. That's the one I'm focusing on. My second relationship is with my business. And she's a jealous bride. And if you don't give her attention, she starts to run off. So you got to really pay attention to your business. Focus, be relentless, be disciplined, adapt, scale. Of course, things are going to pop up that you didn't plan for. That's called life. Welcome to the big boy table. That's how it works. So you have to be ready for that, and you got to function in spite of that. So in summation, we looked at a couple of things today. You got to reprogram your mind. That is the operating engine that is driving everything. If your mind is weak, your body's going to be weak, your execution's going to be weak, and you got to have that discipline to suffer mentally so that you can build your strength up. But also don't make it harder than it needs to be, guys. Not everything has to be suffered. You've been conditioned that suffering is the only way to make things happen. Sometimes you got to let go and let it flow, but you got to recondition the mind so that you're strong enough to be able to endure adversity. Number 2, embrace constructive failure. Every single time something happens and you end up with a result you didn't expect, it's not really failure, it's just a result you didn't expect, and now you know how to get that. So you keep measuring, monitoring, and modifying so you can get to the result that you want. Number 3, develop a strategy that implores contingencies. So you're ready for it to fail. You're ready for everything that could go wrong, knowing that even though you have these contingencies in place, there's still going to be stuff that's going to happen that you're not ready for. But you did the best that you could to plan, which leads us to number 4, execute, execute, execute. Every single day, you've got to go get it. Because if you never put it into play, nothing's going to happen. What's going to happen is that you're going to fall further and further and further behind. Get out of the mindset that everything's got to be perfect. What really needs to be done is that it needs to get done. And getting it done is better than being perfect. The first people out to market are typically the people that make the most money. So what you want to do is make sure, and I think of this for a minute, like when you got your iPhone, they sold that shit to you broken. There was already already stuff wrong with it, and they knew it, and they released it and profited on the fact that it was already broken. They're like, we're gonna sell them something else to fix this problem. So when you start looking at, does it have to be perfect? No, it's gotta get out to market, it's gotta get done. And then when you throw it out, that's the only real barometer of how strong it is, because then you get feedback and you can start utilizing that feedback to win. Number 5, adapt and scale. Plan for that adversity when it hits you. Be willing to be the kind of person that can level up, think outside the box, and function at a high capacity. Now guys, I've spent the last 23 years doing exactly this, helping men just like you grow and scale and learn how to face adversity and overcome limiting beliefs, self-doubt, how to actually get yourself to the next level faster than ever possible by rewiring your mind and your neurosynaptic connections. And if you want this game plan and how to apply it personally to your life, I want you to click the link below and book a call with my team, and we will show you how to do that, and we'll show you what the next steps are.